So Gwen and I went to the same business school, and I think the same trade that I think makes a good rep, I saw like as a successful MBA. And I think that's being adaptable. Or another word is, sometimes people call it the growth mindset. I'm supporting Central. Next year, they can give me, San Francisco accounts or Southeast or Midwest. Who knows? Like they can give me a different territory. You can choose your territory, and also you can choose the accounts. Let's say I'm having a CIO and he's extremely technical CIO. And then I have this other CIO tomorrow and he's a super relationship guy. I mean, sometimes you're supporting healthcare, sometimes retail, sometimes financial institutes. You need to always just change. You need to adapt to your customer, to the industry, because you really don't have a lot of control over it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Signals. I'm your host, Gwen Chen. My guest today is Tal Franko. Tal's path into tech sales was in a straight line. Along the way, he made several big, in my opinion, bold career pivots, but he's a humble person. He asked me to replace the bold with something else. He used to be an engineer, and then he transitioned to become a consultant. And now he's a tech salesperson. Each move to me was built on the last, creating a trajectory that combines technical depth, business acumen, as well as customer leadership. Tal is now a corporate account executive at Google Cloud, where his experience spans mid-market as well as enterprise accounts. Before Google, he led digital transformations for major retail accounts at Microsoft. Tal, welcome to Signals.
Thank you, Gwen. Good to see you again.
Likewise. Let me start somewhere more concrete for you. So you are in the first meeting with a customer who has never heard of Gemini. Just picture that, right? Not all of the people on the planet know of Gemini. What's one of the first things you would focus on?
I mean, the funny thing is, maybe there's a lot of people that don't even know Gemini, but I mean, they don't even know that they're probably using the Gemini, the Gemini Enterprise features in some way, right? What I would do, I would just start with educating the customer about what it is. And then once I actually tell them some of the stuff in Gemini, Gemini Enterprise, then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm using this. So for example, Gemini Enterprise includes Nano Banana, right? Or AI image generator, or Omni, which was previously called VO for creating AI videos, or Notebook LM, which is very popular product, right? So, or Gems to create no-code agents. So, when customers are hearing, oh yeah, Gems, I use this all the time, Notebook LM, Nano Banana, love it. Then they realize, oh yeah, I'm using a lot of these things, right? So it's just, I think a lot of it is just education.
I didn't know that you internally call it Gems.
Gemini is the no-code agents inside the Gemini Enterprise, yeah.
I should try that. I've never used it.
Super easy. Yeah, super easy tool.
Okay, so now you are a corporate account executive. Can you maybe explain what you do in your role and typically how do you spend your day?
Yeah, so I'm in what we call, and I think a lot of other tech companies call it account manager. I basically manage relationships between Google and accounts, and by accounts I mean just businesses, like B2B sales. Yeah, I'm a geography-based seller, so I support the central region. Okay, so Texas, Oklahoma. I have also Louisiana, Arkansas, Minnesota, all of that different states in the central region. And yeah, I support all of the companies there in the area and manage the relationship between them and Google Cloud.
So do you sell to these accounts Gemini, the whole product portfolio, or there are other portfolios?
It's all of the Google Cloud solutions, which includes Gemini Enterprise. It's our enterprise version of the Gemini app, like the freemium product. And then also a Google Workspace, what also people call GCP, like our cloud, like all the infrastructure solutions. What else? We also have Looker, which is our BI solution, Apigee, it's an API management solution, and also a Google Cloud Security portfolio solutions, and also Wiz, which we just recently acquired last year.
Cool. So I want to pull back a little bit. If so, to startups, mid-market, and as well as enterprises, those are like quite different market segments, in my opinion. I would assume the sales motions are very different. Maybe sometimes what works for a startup doesn't work for enterprises. Is there something you want to say about maybe one example about how do you tackle different segments?
Yeah, definitely very different segments, very different people inside. Like, I'll give an example. Like, for example, a startup, let's say it's a small startup, like 20, 30 people. It's, you're going to talk with someone that has many multiple hats, right? Like, you can talk with the CEO, who's also the COO, and he's also the chief procurement officer, and he's also the CTO, and he also does like all the development and writes the code and actually manages their cloud environment, right? Just one person doing all of that. And then when you're selling to an enterprise company, there's every one of those roles is a different people, a different person. Okay, so there's a COO, there's a CEO, there's a procurement officer, there's a developer, there's a chief security officer. So I mean, much longer, I would say, sales cycles, just because you have to talk with all these different people and get their buy-in. Which comes to a startup, it could be easier because it's just one person. So he can be the first, he can actually use the product and be the decision maker and sign it with finance because he's kind of the procurement person. So I mean, it really is very different sales cycle, shorter for sure. But then again, with the startup, like it's usually, it of course depends on the startup, but I would say smaller deals as opposed to like a really big enterprise account, which could be the deal could be multi-million dollar. So yeah, and again, of course, what I mean, the startup is also they were let's say assume they're also a technology startup. They're very savvy, right? They would use AI and they would use the newest and sexiest like data products. So they would be much more advanced. And then let's say this enterprise, I don't know, let's say a bank or a hospital, which they won't be using the most cutting edge solutions. They won't have that much data like the startup. Let's say it's a startup with millions of users. They would have tons of data and data scientist people, and they would be really interested in AI and data workloads, which is opposed to that enterprise account, which could be more conservative and not really be interested in like cutting edge AI solutions. Yeah, so that's like really high level about like, enterprise versus like startup.
So let's look at your deals. Tell me about the deal that you're most proud of. Could be your current role or previous roles, and of course, without disclosing any confidential information.
Yeah, so I'm really glad about this deal we had this year with this manufacturing company. Yeah, I would say just it was really like a deal that kind of was by the book, right? Like we had great relationship from the top. It was a real team effort. Like everyone in the team was aligned. We had a great exec sponsor that was sponsoring us. We had also a great partner that was supporting to us. We had fantastic demo. We had a really good motion with them. Like they really understood the vision of the product, what it could do. They were already using again like some different portions of it. So they really had like a really good understanding of the product and use cases of how it can help them like accelerate their revenue and reduce costs. So I think it was just really great alignment, great teamwork and fantastic result as well. It was a pretty significant deal. So yeah, just when everything is going kind of by the book and everything clicks, I would say that that was that deal. And definitely in sales, these things always don't always happen. When you have all of these things, like all the team is aligned, the customer sees the value, you have an exec sponsor. And very large deal. It's not always like all of these things. Most of the times you have maybe one of these things and not all of them happening. So yeah.
You actually answered my next question. I wanted to ask you what are the common things the winning deals have across the board. You mentioned demo, show the value, have the sponsorship, agree with the vision, as well as have real usage. Is there anything else you want to highlight?
Yeah, I think that's I kind of answer that. Yeah, it's exactly that. Like you need to have the themes I see like in really successful deals is there's executive alignment, right? Like you bring like an execs from Google and they connect with the execs from the other company, and that you have of course an exec sponsor, someone like maneuvering through all the complexities of the deal and helping you, kind of guiding you inside. Like, oh, we need to bring in this procurement person, and we need to have the security person sign off. Oh, and this VP of IT, he also needs to be engaged, or oh, the CEO, and he kind of builds everything and positions it and helps you kind of like exactly when it's needed and which right people to bring in when. He helps you build that, and of course, again, have a technical win. Really, really critical to have an early technical win, so the customer really like, oh, he's sold in on the product. He sees the value, it aligns to his use cases, and he sees like, let's say, how it can help him increase his revenue or decrease his cost. That's also really, really critical. And I would say also relationship, really having a really good relationship of trust, right? That the customer trusts you. He sees you as a trusted advisor, right? Someone that he can really trust, that adds value, that really, it doesn't look at you as a vendor. Okay. This is not just someone that sends me a quote and he's giving me the best price, but this is like a real advisor, someone I can really count for my organization to build on. And yeah, so this is the big, big differentiator, like seeing you as a strategic partner rather than a vendor. And I think this is critical. Like if the company just sees you as another vendor, they'll just go with whoever gives them the highest, the best deal. But if it's someone that sees you as a strategic advisor, as a strategic partner, they will look at whatever solutions that you have, and they'll because it's a partnership, so they'll basically go with most of your solutions, rather if it's like the best in the market or not. But just they want to have the platform, right? They want to have everything that Google has rather than just kind of go with the best in class.
Mhm.
Okay. So I mean, when that happens, you know that you're in there and you achieve that strategic relationship.
Then do you see some of the times, or you win deals because you spend years building the relationship with an executive in one of your customers, but the executive changed jobs, moved to another position, um, and this executive bring the deals along with him and get in touch with you, right?
Yeah, that I've seen that from both sides. Like one time it works for your advantage. Like let's say someone that was a very big Google fan from another company, he joins one of your accounts, okay? And now he's, just ripping and replacing other stuff with Google, right? So it works for your benefit. He's like a Google champion. He's like, I love Google. I think that the technology is superior. I just want to remove the other solutions we're using and add Google. So that's works for your advantage. But the same can happen as well. Like one of your, let's say, a sponsor, right? That was one of your sponsors. He left the organization. And let's be honest, this happens all the time, right? Like CIOs, they don't stay in a company more than 2-3 years. So then let's say you had a great sponsor, loved Google, and he left. And then they brought in someone from, another competing like platform, and he just is saying, okay, I'm very sorry, but I'm gonna just take all the Google stuff out and replace it with the competitive solutions, just because I know these other products and I have a relationship with these other cloud vendors. So yeah, sorry, I understand you were in there and you had some stuff, but I'm gonna bring in my stuff. And yeah, you see this as well. Every executive, when he comes in, he likes to bring in his people and his team, and the same thing with the technology. He brings in his the technology he knows, because that's what he feels comfortable with, right? Like he likes, let's say, for example, Outlook. He loves Outlook. He's been using it for 20 years.
Yeah.
He's going to use it. So I mean, it's yeah, it sucks, but yeah, these things happen.
It's
These
really
things
hard to
happen.
change behavior if they're already using another product for many years.
Very hard. I mean, sometimes you have a shot if it's like someone that is open-minded, is willing to listen to your story, right? He's willing to give you a chance. But then there's sometimes they've been in the industry for 40, 50 years, and they're not open to change. They're just going to bring the same tools that they worked on. And again, the same thing is they're going to bring a team, and that team that they brought, like, let's say from their previous company, they're used to a certain amount of tools, right? So they're just going to continue and bring in what they did in the previous company to this company. I've seen this happening many times. Yeah, it's very hard to change it. I mean, that's why you really need to be embedded in the company from many, many different angles. Not just be, let's say, cloud. You need to have the BI, you need to have the productivity suite like Google Workspace. And then when these execs come in and they see like wall to wall Google, and then they're going to say, okay, this is going to be very hard to rip and replace, and it's just going to disrupt the business. So let's just continue as is, because we have so many other priorities and stuff like to do. We need to change the organization. We need to bring in AI. We need to improve the productivity of the business, or like work with the business on their use cases. So we don't have time to migrate out of, let's say, Google Workspace to Office 365, or change the enterprise data warehouse and switch cloud, because that can take like a year. And anyway, we're going to stay in this company probably for like 2 years. So we don't want to waste that much time on that. Let's focus on other things that the business really wants. Okay.
Really.
So I mean, it really depends. It really depends. If it's not going to be that complicated, they will probably replace it. But if they see that this is going to take a lot of time, and let's say their developers love that solution, they're going to get a lot of resistance. And the solutions, the Google solutions, are so deeply embedded, and they just see this is like a 2-3 year project to take this out. They might just say, you know what, let's tackle something else,
Yeah.
because this is like it's gonna be too messy.
Yeah, let's see. This is not account that has used your competitor's product portfolio for many, many years. This account is actually waiting to change. Very open-minded, but you mentioned earlier that a lot of times you don't win by feature, you win by this vision of constant innovation. Do you have an example? How do you sell that vision versus a specific feature?
Yeah. So, I mean, if there's a new customer and he's open to giving us a chance, I think that's a great example where we can either invite him inside our office and kind of show him our entire, like do a whole day, what we call EBC, Executive Briefing Center, and just kind of wow him, like show him the entire vision, like how, for example, Google Cloud works with our AI solutions and works with our productivity suite like Google Workspace, and it all works together, right? With our BI solution, our security solution, and just show him the entire vision. Okay. And of course, build relationship during that day, show him our architect, show him our skills, like really show him like all of Google and give him some Google love, right? Like show him the people and connect. And then he's like, okay, I think I understand now that I don't, let's say, for example, he was using, Slack and Zoom and Office 365 and then Amazon. And then, I don't know, Cursor for AI coding, right? So many different tools. And now he's like, oh, wow, I can do all of this all with one platform with Google Cloud, right? They provide all of it. I don't need to talk with 25 different vendors. It's all in one platform and it works perfectly. It's all like, it has a great experience because all of these tools are all talking to each other and they're all aligned, right? So you have this beautiful, connected, integrated experience together. So yeah, that's what I would say. If he's giving us a shot and he's willing to, spend time with us a full day, bring his executives, and we can organize this kind of full day for him to show him like our, the full Google vision.
Mhm. That's why it's so important to have conferences. A lot of enterprises, they have annual conferences. In addition to that, they also have demo days, on-site it's EBCs. That's all relationship building.
Right, exactly. We have our own like our conferences as well, when we invite customers, and then they can come into sessions with architects, and we show them like all of this different vision. They can really come in and see it like in the conference, and of course talk with so many engineers and architects, and of course executives that can kind of like, and also like in these conferences, they can even interact with other Google customers and just ask them, right? Like it's not like Google is showing them. They're actually coming in and speaking with other Google customers there, like as part of the network, and ask them, how do you do that? Like, how does it work for you, right? Like, was it hard to move from this solution to the Google solution? And then they can really like see in their own eyes, right? Like I just came back from one of our conferences, and that's one of the takeaways. I spoke with one of the customers and he was just wowed like by the number of customers and the huge partner ecosystem that Google has. He didn't know that we have so many partners like building in our ecosystem. He was really impressed by that. The amount of customers, the amount of partners in the conference, it is really cool to see.
Yeah. So let's switch gears and talk about the deals. maybe that are not doing well. So let's start with the demo part, right? Demo often is the easy part. And then oftentimes after the demo, you have to go through a lot of things like security, compliance, procurement, and finally adoption. And how do you manage the expectations without overselling or losing momentum starting from the demo?
I mean, that's why I think having an executive sponsor in the company is key, right? Because there's the finance, the procurement, security, HR, marketing. There's so many different divisions and stakeholders. How do you know who do you need to bring, or who do you need to bring first, or what do you even need to bring, right? And that's why you need that sponsor to kind of guide you through the complexity of the deal and kind of tell you, okay, yeah, we can't move before we get the security people clearance, right? So let me get that security guy. We'll have the security conversation. And then after that, then we can start talking with like IT and have a demo, right? We can start the demo without them giving them the approval, right? Or let's say he's going to say, no, before I need the sign off or the CTO. Okay. So let's bring the CTO first to conversation. Maybe we need to show him, the vision and everything. And then after we get his sign off, then we can continue, right? Like sometimes you don't even know the sequence or who do you need to bring into the table, and then you think you have the deal, you did a great demo, and then you're moving into the final stages, and then you get blocked, and you don't even understand why, because you didn't speak with the CTO or the security team wasn't involved, and so they're blocking it, right? So you can't know. It's very hard, like to know all these different pieces, especially as you're not inside the company. You don't know this company inside and what's the internal politics. So you need to have this executive sponsor to walk you through all this complexity in politics and just tell you, okay, this is what we need to do. Okay. So it's really, really important to have this exec sponsor to kind of guide you through all of this, because deals can be super complex and you can have the best product and have the best demo. But if you don't have anyone guiding you and kind of like walking you through the steps, you'll fail. So yeah, having someone like inside championing you and pushing it is critical.
Yeah. I want to ask a follow-up question on that. The exact sponsor, he or she must be very busy as well. What is a good balance of involving this person into the sales cycle?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, he doesn't have to be in all of these sessions, right? I don't need to have him in the technical, like, architecture discussion, and I don't need to have him and maybe in the security discussion. I need maybe to have a strategy discussion with him before of like, what is the sequence of steps that we need to do? Like, build for me, like, how do I tackle this? And I need to keep him in the background, right? Like, if things are progressing right. So he doesn't need to spend too much time in all of the sessions. You can, as the account executive, you can manage all of this and just keep him like updated about how are things going. And then also on the other side, like get his feedback. Are we progressing? Are we on the right track? Is everything going well? How was that demo? Can you give us feedback? Was it good? Was it well received? Is the team supportive? Right? Is it okay now to have the conversation with finance? Or we need to clear another step before. Okay, just check-ins with him. I wouldn't say that he needs to be in all of the sessions, because really sometimes sales cycles can take over a year or many number of months, and if he'll be in all of the sessions, it can be exhausting. So I would just say, just keep him in the loop, make sure that everything is everything is moving along. And also, like, if there's some internal political thing that you need to take care of, that he can tell you, oh, you know what, we have a blocker, there's a guy there and he's blocking it because of this other product that he has that nobody's responding to him, he's going to block it. So right,
Yeah.
so you're aware of this situation and you need to now unblock this thing and talk with that other person and make sure that this blocker is removed. So yeah, it's kind of, I would say he needs to help you make sure that everything is progressing, so you can unblock all kind of blockers that pop up.
So let's see, the deal is closed, contract is signed, but somehow you notice the product is never used, or the use is way lower than you expected. What are most common reason?
I mean, this is scenario we call, like in tech sales, like shelfware, right? Like the customer bought the software, but then it's just sitting on the shelf and nobody's using it. I mean, that's very unfortunate situation. This is a lose-lose for everyone, right? Because the customer is unhappy. In the end of the, of the term of the deal, he didn't never use the product. And then guess what? He's never going to renew. And in the end of the term of the deal, he's just going to churn. And then you're losing the next cycle of revenue, right? And he's not going to do any more business with you because what he purchased, he didn't use. So no more deals with you. So this is a bad situation for both sides. And I would say there are many different reasons for that. It's kind of like, I would mention like maybe a funny metaphor is like, think about like last time you purchased, I don't know, a gym membership. Why didn't you use it, right? And the reasons there are many reasons, right? So maybe one of the reasons I never used the gym is like, I bought it just because, let's say my wife or my family member was pushing me, you need to work out, you need to go to the gym. And I was like, okay, I'm going to register, but I'm not really in it. I don't really want to go, right? I'm just checking the box so he leaves me alone. Number one. Number two, maybe you got injured, right? Maybe I sprayed my ankle. Another reason is just, I don't know, just I didn't realize, oh, it's so far, right? The gym is, I bought it because I thought I did, but then it's like the routine or I don't have time and it's really far, right? So it's the same with software. So let's say, for example, I bought this company bought the software for 2 million. There was a very big priority. Let's say it was a BI product, okay, like a business intelligence tool. And there was at the time they bought it, it was a big initiative from the CEO to be more analytical and use more BI in the company. But then they bought it, and then the priorities of the company changed. Now everybody's focusing on AI. So it's not a priority to deploy this product or use it. So it's kind of like left on the shelf and nobody uses it. So that's one reason. Another reason I've seen as well is, let's say there was a sponsor, right? The guy that was really like spearheading, he wanted this product, he needed it, he saw the value, and then he left the company. And without him and his sponsorship and him pushing the adoption of this tool, the tool never gets adopted. And then it's just, again, left on the shelf. So that's another reason why nobody's using it. Another thing is, again, it's just unfortunate, is like, people wanted to use it, but then we never build like a plan of how to adopt the tool, right? Or they never had actually someone, let's say there's a pretty complicated tool and you need have a partner or someone like a services, someone to help you deploy it. And there was just no plan and they didn't know how to use it, right? They didn't know how to use it, super complex. There was no deployment plan, like post-purchase. And they tried, they failed, and it's just, okay, yeah, this thing is too complicated. We'll just, leave it again on the shelf and not use it. So, I mean, there are multiple reasons why the product is not in yet used. And again, that's something we always try to prevent, right? Because it's a lose-lose situation, bad for the customer and bad for us.
Mhm. Are there any circumstances where they don't use it? Well, we sort of touched on it briefly. Sometimes it might be the tool itself is complicated. Sometimes it might be it's hard for them to immediately get the value. It takes time to see the value. So that's why a lot of organizations, they may have a function called customer success manager to keep a close eye on that kind of accounts. Are there any best practices to make sure the customers are using it?
Yeah, and that comes back to the sponsor and making sure that when you complete the sale, that you actually have a deployment and adoption plan, right? So you need to have the sponsor, for example, assign like a resource in from the customer, like assign a dedicated customer success manager or a project manager, someone that's like has like a metric that he's aligned. He needs to meet that metric to make sure that this product is fully deployed and successfully used across the organization, right? So that's like something that you can put. Another thing that many organizations have in Google as well is like we have maybe some funding for some products set aside to support post sales, right? Like adoption and adoption funds that after the sale, we have some training and enablement funds to have like a partner or someone to help successfully deploy the solution inside the company. Okay, so that's another way, like to set aside some funds and then use them to successfully adopt and migrate to the solution, right? So I mean, it's all comes up to post sales, like having like a plan how to, okay, the deal is now closed. Now let's make sure that this is actually used across the company. And I would say it's both sides, right? Like you can't have just the company like selling the product, like just pushing and pushing. And then the other side is just, there's nobody cares or nobody set like a head count or someone with a metric to make sure that this is successful. So it's a team effort. Both sides needs to make sure that this is successfully deployed.
Yeah. we all use AI, sales, go to market, and then marketing, all other functions. You sell AI products. I would assume you use AI a lot as well to help your work. In your opinion, what like can be replaced by AI, and what needs more human touch as a sales rep?
Of course, I'm using AI in my job like every day, and I definitely see how AI can replace some functions in sales. Okay, so for example, like I would say all these kind of tasks which are very like automated tasks, right? Like someone sending multiple amount of quotes. Let's say someone has a role to send a lot of quotes. That can be easily automated by AI, right? Or let's say someone that is doing like reach out campaigns, right? Like massive LinkedIn or email campaigns. That's also roles that can be easily automated by AI. Okay. I mean, roles then that can't be replaced by AI. I mean, like very hard to be replaced by AI would be like relationship. Right? Like, let's say you're a strategic account manager and you're managing, Fortune 500 customer, like let's say a Delta or Coca-Cola, and you have that personal relationship with the CIO and or the CEO. That's very hard to replace, right? Because these companies, they spend they have multi-million dollar agreements. They want to talk with a person. They want a live person to come to their to come to the headquarters to meet with them. Someone that's just can call and jump on the incidents they have or escalations and just make sure that it's taken care of, right? Someone that invites them to all these big conferences, someone doing all these executive briefing center EBCs. They need like a contact person. Okay, they're not going to settle with AI. They're signing $100 million contracts. They need a live person, right? They're not just going to do this with an AI. So I mean, for those people, I think AI is not going to be replacing them anytime soon. But these ones managing very small accounts and it's just quotes for 5 licenses here, five licenses there. Yeah, there's some jeopardy. Although I'm not one of those that think that AI is going to replace like everyone. I think there's definitely what I'm trying to say is like these manual tests, automated, simple tasks, those are at risk, the AI to be replaced. But I mean, relationship, when these people like the extra, like I mentioned,
Yeah, kind of similar to marketing. Like we all use AI to create marketing copy. What's unique is differentiated copy that doesn't read like AS slop. Yeah. I have two final short questions. The first one is there a product or a tool or a podcast you've been into lately, and would you recommend to our listeners?
yeah, I personally love the All In podcast. It's a podcast. They talk a lot about, investing, AI, just trends in the tech world. It's for people, they call themselves the besties. And they're very entrenched. These four people are very entrenched in the venture capital space, AI, tech, and they have great insights, right? Like they're talking about like the hottest things happening in the tech world. And those people, again, like they're very much involved in many of these customers, in these companies. And so they have internal insights that they know. These people have been in tech for many, many years. It's a great podcast, really, really interesting for people working in tech.
Last question. A life motto you come back to often at work or otherwise.
Yeah, I'd say, something like a phrase I heard many years ago and I really like is whatever doesn't work simply doesn't work, right? So I'll give an example of like, in sales, it's just if you see something that's just a deal and it's just struggle after struggle from the beginning, initial conversation, it's just hard and hard and hard and hard. My mentality is just, and again, I want to put like a caveat maybe is I think it depends also on your segment. Like let's say I'm a strategic account manager and I only have one account. I mean, it's if it's hard, it's kind of you have no choice, right? Because it's your only account. But if you're an account manager that has 500 accounts or maybe 200 accounts, and you're just this deal is going to be so hard. I'm just getting pushback after pushback after pushback, and it's just hard and hard. I mean, like pivot, right? Like I'm in the mentality of just go after the low hanging fruits, right? You have these trees with these tons of fruits on them. Just grab the trees, grab the fruits, like the easy ones. You don't have to climb 50 feet and go to the bushes and fight with these squirrels to get like to the big mango on there. You can just pick up like some of these mangoes that are just like at your reach, right? So, and I mean like on sales, they're just customers, which are like it's easy deals. They want to talk to you. They want to partner with you. Let's say, for example, like they love Google. They see the value. These are the kind of conversations you want to have because they're easy. And then in opposed to like battle after battle, I think it's a lot of mentality. I sometimes see these salespeople, which they sometimes told them no, and they're just like, it animates them. They're like, okay, great. I'm going to go all in, spend 8 months of my year on this deal because he told me no. It's like pride, and I'm going to show them and I'll convert them. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe you can end, like maybe you just wasted your time and you're not going to do it. But even the best case, yes, you spent tons of time and you finally converted it. But think about it, like you only have 100% of your time. So you invested 80% of your year in this deal. Think of what you could have done 80% of your time on these other customers, okay? That they were just ready picking and they were just ready to do stuff with you, but you just didn't have time to talk to them because you were concentrated on this guy that never really wanted to talk to you. It was pushing back with you in every opportunity, and you just fought, like constantly fought. So my mentality is just, yeah, move on. If it's just tough and it's just no at every and pushbacks at every person, every corner, just move on. Just pivot to something else. Like, yeah, that's just phrase, and also like my kind of mentality in sales. Like, just things don't need to be that hard.
Kind of remind me of a friend. He's a realtor. Um, if you try really hard to bid a house you really want to buy, and you try really hard, increase time pricing several times, eventually you hit a point that you can never afford. Just to walk away, drop it. Because sometimes it is just a fate, or the house doesn't belong to you. That's why you can't get it. Maybe there's a better house waiting for you.
Wasn't meant to be. Exactly. That's what I mean. Not all deals are meant to be, right? And if you see the pushback, you feel it, just it wasn't meant to be, and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they will come back later. Maybe the timing is,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Maybe the timing, maybe that person that you're speaking with there is not the right person, or maybe a new person will come in. And then, I mean, like when I'm saying move away, don't shut down completely the option, but just maybe it's not the right time. Maybe
Yeah.
in a few months, there will be something different there. Or maybe in that they will see, oh, you know what, you guys, your technology, now I see it. Now is the right time to have this conversation. You're absolutely right. It's kind of like you just see it's not the right thing, and you're still pushing and pushing and pushing, like, I'm going to have this house. I don't care. I am going to live there. But everything goes against you. The neighborhood, the realtor, the weather, just everything conspires against you to leave there. And you're just pushing, and I don't care. I'm going to live in this neighborhood if it even kills me. I don't think so. I think you need to listen to the world, to what it's saying. And if it's not meant to be, just walk away.
Well, it was such a fun conversation. I learned so much from you, Tal. Thank you so much for getting on Signals. To everyone listening, you like it, the best thing you can do is share this podcast, this episode, with one good market person in your network. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Tal.